I still remember the night my daughter was born, a night filled with fear, hope, and a silence so heavy it felt louder than any sound. Her mother left this world before she could hold her even once. And in that moment, I understood that life does not ask for permission before changing everything. I was a young man with trembling hands, holding a tiny life that depended entirely on me. I promised her, quietly and without witnesses, that no matter how hard life became, she would never feel alone. From that day onward, my life stopped being about what I wanted and became about what she needed. Raising her alone was not heroic or dramatic. It was exhausting, ordinary, and deeply emotional. I learned how to cook simple meals while worrying about bills, how to braid her hair while memorizing lullabies, and how to smile through my own pain, so she would never feel it. There were nights I stayed awake, wondering if I was enough, if I could ever fill the space her mother left behind. Yet every morning, her smile gave me the strength to try again. Love, I learned, is not loud declarations but quiet consistency. As she grew, life tested us in small and big ways. There were school meetings where I was the only father sitting among mothers, moments when teachers gently asked about her mother, and times when I saw pity in people's eyes. I hated that look, not because it hurt me, but because I never wanted my daughter to feel different or lacking. I worked extra hours, sometimes 2 jobs, coming home tired but grateful that the lights were still on and food was still on the table. I missed sleep, missed comfort, but I never missed her milestones. She grew into a kind, thoughtful young woman, shaped by patience and empathy. She understood struggle without bitterness and respect without being taught through words. Our home was simple, but it was filled with conversations, laughter, and quiet understanding. I never tried to be perfect. I only tried to be present. When she cried, I listened. When she dreamed, I encouraged. When she failed, I reminded her that falling does not mean ending. When she told me she had found someone she loved, my heart felt 2 emotions at once. There was happiness that she found companionship, and there was fear of letting go. I had spent my entire life protecting her, and now I had to trust someone else to do the same. The man she chose seemed respectful and sincere, and I told myself that love also means knowing when to step back. His family, however, came from a world very different from ours, a world of wealth, status, and quiet judgments. From the beginning, I sensed the distance, polite smiles, measured words, and eyes that evaluated rather than welcomed. I never complained because I believed my daughter's happiness mattered more than my pride. I reminded myself that dignity does not need applause. I attended meetings quietly, agreed to arrangements humbly, and paid my share of the wedding expenses honestly, even if it meant emptying my savings. Every sacrifice felt small compared to seeing my daughter smile. The wedding day arrived like a dream I never expected to see. She looked radiant, not because of what she wore, but because of the calm confidence in her eyes. As I watched her prepare, memories rushed through me like a flood. Her first steps, her first day of school, her first heartbreak, and every moment I held her hand through life's uncertainties. I prayed silently, not for recognition, but for her future to be gentle with her. The venue was grand, filled with nearly 300 guests, shining lights, and soft music. I stood among people dressed in elegance, feeling slightly out of place in my modest suit, but proud beyond words. When it was time for speeches, I expected nothing unusual. I was content just being there, witnessing the beginning of her new chapter. Then her father-in-law stood up, holding the microphone with confidence, his voice steady and loud. He spoke about family values, status, and tradition, words that sounded beautiful at first. Then his tone shifted and the air changed. He began talking about how his family had provided everything for the wedding, how they had given their son a bride from humble beginnings, and how some people in life receive more than they can offer. His eyes briefly met mine, and in that moment I understood his intention. Laughter rippled awkwardly through the crowd, and whispers followed. My chest tightened, not from anger, but from disbelief. In front of hundreds of people, my years of sacrifice were reduced to nothing. I felt exposed, small, and deeply humiliated. My hands shook, and for a moment, I considered leaving quietly. I did not want to create a scene or burden my daughter on her most important day. I lowered my head, reminded myself of every promise I had made to protect her peace, even at the cost of my own dignity. But before I could move, something unexpected happened. My daughter stood up. The room fell silent, surprised by her sudden action. Her voice trembled at first, not from fear, but from emotion. She spoke about love, about being raised by a father who chose patience over bitterness and responsibility over comfort. She talked about nights when he stayed awake to make sure she slept peacefully, about hands that worked until they ached, and about a man who never complained, never demanded, and never abandoned her. She said that wealth could build a wedding, but love builds a life. She reminded everyone that dignity is not inherited but earned through actions. Tears streamed down my face as she spoke, not because I was hurt, but because I felt seen. The guests listened, many with tears of their own, as she thanked me for raising her with values that no amount of money could buy. Her father-in-law sat down, his face pale, the weight of his words finally catching up to him. The room filled with applause, not loud or dramatic, but respectful and sincere. In that moment, I realized that silence does not mean weakness, and humility does not mean worthlessness. My daughter had become everything I hoped for, strong, compassionate, and unafraid to stand for what is right. The rest of the evening passed quietly. People approached me with kind words, some apologetic, some grateful. I smiled politely, not seeking validation. The greatest reward stood a few steps away, smiling with the confidence of someone who knows where she comes from. As I watched her begin her new life, I felt a strange sense of peace. My role was changing, but my purpose had been fulfilled. That night, as I returned to my empty home, I sat in the same chair where I once held a newborn and whispered promises into the dark. Life had come full circle. I thought about how pain can shape us, how love can survive humiliation, and how respect often arrives quietly after patience has been tested. I realized that true success is not measured by applause or wealth, but by the values we pass on. This story is not about humiliation, but about resilience. It is not about wealth, but about worth. It is a reminder that the greatest inheritance a parent can give is character, and the greatest victory is raising someone who knows the difference between pride and dignity. Sometimes, the loudest moments in life are not the insults we endure, but the love that rises to defend us when we least expect it.